Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto, where we take the market one leg at a time while keeping the market cycle in mind. Yeah, that was a different intro. I was just having some fun there. What's up, guys? How you doing? Been a while. Bitcoin doing a few things, but this is not about current Bitcoin market action. This is about the general market cycle, where we could be headed, what could be happening. These are all possibilities. Pure conjecture, which means a guess. And based on some technical analysis, kind of market psychology theory more than general technical analysis, a little bit of rhyming involved, but not so much. So those of you familiar with the channel, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again, and I appreciate your continued support. Those of you new, I hope you'll consider subscribing after you hear this information. Go back, watch some of my last couple of videos too. See if you like the content. I'm going to say something maybe fairly controversial, maybe not. I don't watch any other YouTube videos. I do my own thing. I do a power hour every day, so I look at the market every single day and throughout the trading session as well. Since the trading session is 24 hours, it's pretty much most of the day. Bitcoin's been pretty bullish lately. And not in the same fashion. Everyone's kind of been likening our market situation to this market cycle here, where we go up, we kind of slowly curve up, and then we go back into a parabola. That's definitely a possibility here. But I will say the fervor in which Bitcoin has gotten higher and remained higher is actually very abnormal, not something that we've seen during this market cycle before. It's actually something we've seen during this market cycle. Right here, the early 2013 market cycle, something that most people wrote off fairly early on. There was a couple videos about it, acting like the 2013 market cycle before we broke the 6,000 barrier. After we broke the 6,000 barrier, obviously everyone was on board with the extreme bear market. But since the bottom at 3,200, right now in Bitcoin, everything has acted a little less like late 2013 and a little bit more like early 2013. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You guys have seen the charts. You guys have been in the market. We had a breakout at 4,200 that was pretty well telegraphed. But everything after the breakout at 4,200, I think, was very unexpected by a vast majority of traders. I think very few knowledgeable traders actually expected what happened. And obviously, some of the knowledgeable traders that did expect this probably facilitated its structure. We ended up with a rising channel, which we broke out from. But effectively, when we did that, we broke immediately through. This does not seem right on Bitstamp. I got a Coinbase chart that says different over here. There's my Coinbase chart. So we have the Coinbase chart here. This was my range of resistance on the way back up from 6,000. A lot of people, myself included, expected us fully to find resistance up here, have a retracement, do something. But instead, when we broke out from that channel, that also coincides with when we started breaking this low resistance level from way over here, 5,800. We rallied pretty much straight through that. There was a little bit of chop around here, but straight through a little thereafter. And what happened after we broke through the resistance level, we immediately came back and tested the resistance level in a very strong test, very elevated bottoming candle. That is an extraordinarily strong candle, and it shows in the chart. We've been unable to get anywhere near that chart. There's been basically a price bubble underneath of us here, and we've gone on to put in another rising channel situation right here, right now. So is this going to lead us directly into another major parabolic move? I think it's definitely in the cards. I don't think you can write it off. I think you have to have a trading plan for it, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all you got to do. So if you're bullish Bitcoin, you may want to get a little more bullish Bitcoin in the more intermediate term time frame. So I drew a line here earlier for no apparent reason. There's no time scale associated with this. But if you go back to the early 2013 charts, what we did is, now, so let me back off a second. I want to talk about the psychology behind what this could imply, okay, and why. Yet another reason I think it bodes well for us continuing through highs. Now, when I say early 2013 cycle, doesn't mean we're going to play out exactly like this. We don't have any rising channels here or anything like that. We actually have a couple sequential bull flags. This is the one that got me interested in Bitcoin back in 2013. I actually traded that leg, that parabolic leg right there, and quite successfully. I don't know if we're going to, how many bull flags we're going to have on the way up, what kind of bases we're going to have, but it's just a general sense that we continue going higher very aggressively is what I'm referring to. The psychology back here in 2013, if you take a look at these charts, you have a prior high way down here at about the unholy level of $16.50 Bitcoin. And then we have just an insane parabolic run. Let's just take it from the breakout point. You go up about 1,400%. All in all, not a bad day's work. And then Bitcoin goes on to immediately capitulate. Very, very quick capitulative move. Notice the very elevated volume, the highest in Bitcoin's history, at least on the Bitstamp chart. But you notice we don't even come close to touching that prior high of 16 bucks. We bottom out at $44. And then, so we bottom higher, have a consolidation, which I actually call this pattern a gooseneck pattern. If you guys remember that from my extreme streams back in the day, you will remember that pattern. So there's a gooseneck pattern. And then we actually launch out of that into the next parabola. So 2 parabolas in 1 year, pretty insane year. This implies, though, at least to me, and I could be wrong about this, if you guys have varying opinions on this, please feel free to comment, down below. Maybe I'm missing something in the charts here. But to me, everyone that traded Bitcoin here was an early adopter, early believer. They didn't necessarily think Bitcoin was just going to evaporate into the ether. So when it did finally have its last massive, well, it was like 2 blow-off tops in a row. Actually, it's almost one trend line. There's a bit of an extension here. But when that happened and then sold off and people took profits right there, nobody left the market. Everybody remained with Bitcoin. Everyone remained kind of attached to the market, and that's why we pretty much immediately, I believe this was around 6 months before we started taking off again, 191 days, a little over 6 months, until we really started rallying again. And I think that's because no one truly left the market. People may have sold their Bitcoin, but the traders that were around kept an eye on the chart, and then it followed up with, another subsequent 750% from that lower breakout point right there. So remember, this was, I think, 1,500%. And then you end up 1,400%. Then this one from there was 750. Obviously, I think it's like 300%, 340% from there. Then what happens up here, Bitcoin gets to a crazy number. Keep in mind, this is November 2013. Well, back in January of 2013, you were at 16 bucks. So it runs just, obviously one of the best bull runs in asset history, whatever the asset is, other than Beanie Babies, runs up a spectacular amount. Everyone thinks that's the bubble. That's it. We're done. And then everyone sells their Bitcoin. Me included. Again, I bought here, sold up here, and I actually forgot about Bitcoin. I talk about this on my videos. I don't have any regrets in my life except for the fact that I forgot about the Bitcoin market after I sold the top here in 2013. I didn't come back until September 2017, right before we broke 3,000. And you guys can check my YouTube video for the history on that one. So at this stage of the game, we have a very quick turnaround parabolic run, which is crazy. But that's the only psychology I can come up with as far as why this happened. No one left the market. No one really sold their Bitcoin. If you had a 16, it goes back to 60. You're still pretty good. And then it rallies up higher. It goes to 1,000. Everyone is like, holy bejesus. 16 bucks to 1,000, I'm rich. Obviously, there's some people that still have it from down there, but I'm not referring to the much longer term original hodlers. I'm just talking about general trading populations and even the general public, as the general public at large. I was part of the general public at large here and rallied up, sold off, and went about my merry business. And then we go on to form, after we get the second pump, we go on to form our much longer bear market, which is the one that we've been analyzing for years now. And 411 days to the low, and then before we break out here definitively, it's 700 days. We've gone over some of those numbers in the past, but as Bitcoin matures, the cycles get longer. The reason being is because there's more people involved. There's, believe it or not, a little bit more liquidity, so things are harder to get running as crazily as they once did. But we still do trend extraordinarily well. So if you look at this chart, let's go to the weekly chart here. If you look at this chart, the way this is lining up, and Bitcoin is a rhyming machine. This thing just rhymes time and time again. parabola, 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 parabola. We're probably going to have another parabola, and that's why you're all watching this video. You're not watching it because you like how Bitcoin's block size is, blah, blah, blah. You're watching it for the next parabola. So drawing these parabolas, just basic, very general drawing lines on a chart. And let's get that out of our way. You end up with kind of a longer market cycle going into an extreme uptrend, a shorter market cycle to a more extreme uptrend, longer cycle. Well, what comes after long? We've already established a pattern there, and there's actually a few more right there. We can go to BLX. Okay, that just messed up my whole mojo. What goes next? Shorter market cycle. And I don't think we're quite getting up here. That's just obviously where I stopped my cursor. But that's the general sense here. And the psychology behind what I explained here, I think that's what happened here. I think that's why we didn't have a major capitulation. As a matter of fact, one thing I kind of just noticed, I didn't even notice earlier, is the biggest candle we had in 2018 now? 2018 is this one right here. That's the highest volume candle. That very first bottom at 6K was our highest volume candle. Very early capitulative move. Obviously, that wasn't the low. I actually called that not capitulation. Not because it wasn't capitulation. I didn't want people to blindly buy Bitcoin and then hold it forever because I knew the move wasn't quite over yet. And just like over here, again, the biggest volume in Bitcoin was early in the move. So here's kind of another potential parallel to the early 2013 run versus the latter 2013 parabolic move. So I think there could be a really good possibility that we're going to see a much larger move in Bitcoin a lot sooner than people think. There's probably some people calling for that. People have been calling for it. People have been saying we're going to go higher in the end of 2018. End of 2019, end of 2020. You're going to find people that are going to call a top in Bitcoin about every 12 minutes on the internet. I'm quite not sure what I want to say here. I've been fairly accurate with many of my forecasts. A lot of you watch my videos due to that. I'm not saying sell your house and buy Bitcoin for this next, 4, 5, 6,000, 4, 5, 600%, 1,000% move we have. But I think there's a really good possibility and that we're going to eclipse 20,000 a lot sooner than people think. People are thinking we're like this. I think we're like this. I don't have a tremendous amount other than the psychology, the general sequence of chart patterns, and just kind of herd psychology is, I think, what could lead to this. And the fact this has gone so bullish, so fast, we're up basically 200%. They're off of the lows in a very brief period of time with a very small consolidation period, only 36%. That's not really a major consolidation. That's just a base. But running up 186% there from the lows. I haven't done this, so this could prove me wrong. I don't know. 160% right there. This one ran up about 228% from the ultimate capitulation. Though keep in mind we didn't have an ultimate capitulation over here. So, anyway, there's a case, guys. There's a case for Bitcoin to go much higher, much sooner than people think. The reasons, in my opinion, are the fact that very similar to the early 2013 cycle, no one left the market. Everybody was waiting and watching. Some sold early, some sold at 6K, some sold late, but all those people are waiting to get back in, and they're waiting for that next pop. When we do get that next pop, maybe we get to that 100,000 number like we got to the 1,000 number here. It's fully possible. You never know what's going to happen, especially in Bitcoin. I learned that from 2017. Never try to call a top on Bitcoin. Generally, just go with the price action on BTC because it gets nuts. So when are we going to get there? I don't know. How are we going to get there? I don't know. All I know is that if we continue to see extraordinarily strong buying, which is what we have been seeing here in Bitcoin in recent history here, again, no real pullbacks throughout this entire base. You had a little shakeout right there, but well within trend, and then a breakout. And this was kind of a large candle move, huge volume on the bottom there, and that has maintained us. So even if we sell off here, that's okay. I'd be looking to buy Bitcoin lower here, guys. And going forward, I would definitely plan for a much larger parabolic move in Bitcoin, and you need to have some plans for that lined up. So In some subsequent videos, I may go further into some analysis. Obviously, some more the chart has to develop. With every new line in the chart is just like at the blackjack table. It's just another card the dealer flips over for you to kind of base your odds off of. So right now, I can't speak against this scenario. However, people say we're due a pullback. I don't know that for a fact. It definitely feels like we're due a pullback in the shorter term time frame, but there's a couple resistance points up here, and we've already blown through what should have been major resistance, and we're up in here kind of in a no man's land, in my opinion. This whole area from the box to this 11,775 line, to me, that's basically a no man's land for tops. Very weak tops up here. These don't mean a whole heck of a lot. You see we're chopping above this one. It doesn't really care about that level. We stopped, didn't quite get to this one, so that's not that important. So we could easily come up to 11,775. Maybe we base out there for a month or two or something like that before we continue on with the run. But I don't know if we're going to go back down and see these 6,600 levels ever again. It just may never hit that level. So thanks for joining me today, guys. Let me know what you think about that synopsis, if you like it or not. And if you're new to charting, new to trading, and aren't quite sure kind of how to maneuver this, I do have a service that every single day, us in the group in the Real Crypto Power Hour, we go through the charts. We talk about the scenarios. We talked a full half hour at least about this the other day, and we all kind of threw our 2 cents in, ask questions. Actually threw the Power Hour in my Slack chat room just to kind of get some opinions, as I kind of had an epiphany about that could be a possibility. If you want to get involved in that Slack chat room, it's free of charge, nothing doing. You just give your email address here, and you may see an email from me, maybe. And you'll get signed into our Slack chat room. You can chat with the group of very good traders, a lot of good guys. We have a fun time. Everyone's very positive, and it's really great chat room. I would like to thank you guys that are in the chat room for really making it a great chat room and a great experience for myself and everybody involved. So thank you guys. All right, well, thanks for joining me today, guys. Hopefully that gave you something to chew on and something to think about. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.